What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Put a one in the chat if y'all can see and hear me. I just want to make sure. What's up, Sexy 60? What's up, Nelly? What's up, Short Stack? Yeah, y'all, this is embarrassing. Y'all, I started the video and everything like that, and I was talking, having a conversation. I was like, oh, I know more people will come in the room as the video started because, I didn't plan this like an hour ahead. It was kind of like I had seen the story yesterday, and I was like, you know what, we gonna talk about this. And I totally forgot to hit the live button. I was like straight up talking to y'all, and I was wondering why nobody was talking back to me. Yo, that is embarrassing. See why I don't do the whole streaming thing when I pause and play videos, because I started playing the video and everything like that. That is embarrassing, y'all. How y'all doing though? Y'all doing good? Y'all feeling good out there? Y'all feeling good out there? Oh my God, that is embarrassing. I was talking and everything. I started the video. Okay, well, we here to watch this damn Tucker Carlson video. First of all, when he got fired from Fox News, I didn't know he went to Twitter, and that's his platform. I thought he was on one of those other online news stations, but no, he's on Twitter. So this is in partnership with Elon Musk. Now, I think that if you want to promote your platform, trying to out Barack Obama is probably not the best way to go about it. But we are talking about trash people, so hey, why not? But we're gonna go ahead and review this. Yes, the Larry Sinclair guy, he is a scammer. Larceny, theft, fraud, all that. Been arrested. We all know about him. So he's claiming that basically the press wanted to suppress this and stuff like that. But there was an interview from 2014, and then there was another interview, I want to say sometime in 2009. So I wouldn't say that this story has been suppressed. I mean, he even wrote a book in 2009. In 2009, he wrote a book. So I'm kind of like, your story has been told. Now, did I look at those other interviews? No, I didn't, because I was waiting for this one. So we're going to go ahead and watch it and take a listen to it. Here we go, y'all. Y'all ready? Let's go ahead and listen.
Well, the news media, whose job it is to answer those questions, spent the entire 2008 campaign trying to keep you from knowing the answers. By Election Day, most Americans knew only one thing about Barack Obama, other than he was handsome and a good communicator: hope and change. But they knew nothing about him, his origins, what he believed, and legitimate questions about those facts were turned away, as they often are, with the claim, "That's a conspiracy theory. You're crazy. Shut up." One of the most interesting moments in the 2008 campaign occurred when a man like Obama himself came from out of nowhere to recount his experiences with Barack Obama, the man. His name was Larry Sinclair, and he told an amazing story. He said that in 1999, he had encountered Barack Obama in Illinois, had sex with Barack Obama, and then used cocaine with him. Sinclair went on to make these claims publicly at the National Press Club in Washington, to sign a sworn affidavit, and to take a lie detector test. But he was dismissed. In fact, he was attacked. Obama shills like Ben Smith of Politico batted the claims out without refuting them. They're absurd.
So because we didn't know who Barack Obama was, and he was like a mystery and all this stuff, we have to talk to his former gay, well, not his lover, they had a rendezvous to find out more about him. Mind you, we done had two presidents since Obama, and now we're talking about this, and this is supposed to be a headline. And again, I do want to say that the Larry Sinclair guy even wrote a book in 2009. So this wasn't suppressed. People just didn't believe it. Like, they were kind of like, what? And again, the reason why Tucker Carlson is doing this, besides trying to, promote the X platform, it's also to get on that hype, that trend. Because remember a few weeks ago, Barack Obama had a letter that he written to his ex-girlfriend in the 80s where he said he imagined men or had fantasies about men. I'm paraphrasing, but basically he thought of men in his imagination and stuff like that. But he never claimed that he did anything physical or wanted to with a man. So that's what he's kind of capitalizing on right now. So let's go ahead and get into it.
And the rest of the media followed suit. But the claims weren't absurd. We're not claiming they're true, but they were certainly credible. This was a first-hand account of Barack Obama's behavior by someone who was willing to sign a sworn affidavit to that effect. So the question is, whatever happened to Larry Sinclair? What's his life been like since?
And hi, Shan. Hi, Kwani. Thank you for coming.
Larry Sinclair is still alive. He lives in Mexico. But today, he's in our studio, and we're happy to have him. Larry Sinclair, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Where did you meet Barack Obama?
It was by accident. I was in the Chicago area in '99 for Lee Duke's graduation from the Naval Academy.
Oh, no, don't freeze on me.
Who's Lee Duke?
He's basically my godson.
Okay.
I had hired a limousine service.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you live in Chicago then?
No. I was actually living in Colorado. I had flown in the night before.
Okay.
So had hired a limousine service, had made the driver aware that if Lee couldn't leave the base, because once they graduate, some of them actually get their assignments and they're shipping out and they can't leave the base, that I was still interested in going out. And had asked the driver if he knew anybody that was available that might want to show me, Chicago. And he said he did. So
well, who was the driver?
His name was Jamir Multani. It was with 5-star limo.
So you're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party, actually.
Yeah.
That's what you're really saying.
Yeah. Well, I was in town for a few nights, but yeah, I was definitely looking to party. And
did you make that clear to the driver?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was no misunderstanding.
How direct were you about that?
Extremely.
Extremely. Okay.
Yeah. There was no doubt what I was looking for.
Okay.
And he picked me up at my hotel in Gurnee and drove into Chicago, pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced to me as Barack Obama. It was literally that casual.
Had you ever heard of him?
No.
Did the driver know him?
Yep. The driver definitely knew him because the driver said that he was a friend.
Interesting. How would the driver be friends with Barack Obama?
I only found out later, dealing with a reporter from Bloomberg News, that apparently the limousine company had been doing business with Tony Resco.
Oh.
That at the time was somehow affiliated
with
Barack Obama.
Orbit.
Yeah.
I know the Tony Resco guy was actually like a donor, like a Democratic donor, and then that guy ended up going to jail. But this is how he's trying to tie it in and stuff like that. But someone had mentioned, and I forgot who it is. Please say who it was. But somebody had mentioned, like, that's not even Barack Obama type. Like, I would picture if Barack Obama was gay, I would picture him with like some Latin dude or some shit, some Latino dude. Like, that's what I would picture Barack Obama would go for. Not this dude. Like, this dude even have teeth? So you telling me that Larry Sinclair gave Barack Obama that gum, because this fool looked like he ain't got no teeth. But let's keep going.
Yes. Interesting. So he knew Barack Obama, and in his view, Barack Obama liked the same kind of partying you were looking for.
Yep.
Okay. So sex and drugs, in other words.
The sex part I wasn't so sure about until, of course, you make your move, but it became obvious very quick. The coke part, I thought was interesting.
Okay, Roger.
Of the way that I had brought it up.
So I'm stepping on your story. So you pull up, and I apologize. So you pull up to this bar. The driver is basically scouting some dude for you to hang out with.
Correct.
There's this guy, Barack Obama. Have you ever heard of Barack Obama?
Never. Okay. Never. We're having drinks. I mentioned the fact that I could use something to wake up. I was extremely exhausted.
So you went into the bar?
Yes, sir.
What kind of bar was it?
I'm trying to remember. I've been trying to remember the name. I know that the glasses had 3 X's on them because I remember taking one.
All right. Anybody in Chicago know what club has a bar with 3 X's on it? It said he said 3 X's on the glass, but he don't remember the bar. This sounds totally made up, but maybe there is a bar in Chicago that got 3 X's on it. Let's go.
Home for a friend of mine.
But I mean, generally characterize it. Was it
working
class bar,
no,
gay bar, strip bar?
It was upscale, quiet. Wasn't really that that
he took them to a fancy place.
Really didn't have a lot of energy to it. It was more relaxed, more like a lounge as opposed to somewhere where people would go and get loud and crazy.
Yeah.
Which made it easier to talk. But like I said, when I brought up the fact that I could use something to wake up, he immediately knew what I was referring to, had made it clear that I was looking for coke, and I really was, and had made the suggestion that he knew where we could get it, and we left to go get it.
Interesting. Did he say what he did for a living?
No. I had no idea that he was a representative in the Illinois House. I had no idea he was in politics. I just knew that he was supposedly married and at the time was going through some issues with the marriage.
He said that?
That was made clear. Yeah.
Did he say what kind of issues?
No.
Do you remember? No. So you said, I'm looking for someone to wake up. He knows you're referring to cocaine.
So, so he's saying that, Barack Obama wanted some of that cocaine, or cocaine to be exact. And he was having marital issues. Now, I know him and Michelle were married back in 92. So this situationship, quote unquote, because again, allegedly happened in 1999. So that was about 7 years into their relationship. They were having some kind of issue and he needed something to wake him up. And I guess the cocaine wakes you up. So here we go.
Cocaine. I know where to get it. What happens next?
We get back in the limo. The driver takes us wherever it is that Barack had instructed him to take us. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke.
Right, Melissa.
He gets out, comes back. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort.
And you're in the limo.
Yep.
Driving or parked?
No, the driver's driving.
Yeah.
I start to put a line on a CD tray, and I just happen to notice that he pulls something else out of his pocket. And next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I don't have an issue with it. I mean, some people smoke, some people snort.
Smoking the cocaine.
Yes. So as I'm doing a line,
So now he's doing lines and Barack Obama is smoking on his crack pipe. Yo, he is a great storyteller. We need to call him Larry Jaguar Sinclair Wright. Yo, this is funny. Okay, let me stop it. Okay, let's go.
I just start. This is the part where you kind of make your move to see where things are going. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go. So the night became somewhat active sexually and drug-wise in the limo.
So you hit on him. Did he seem shocked by that?
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, if you're smoking crack with a stranger in the back of a limo, like, you got to imagine things might go crazy places.
Well, not only imagine it, I look at it this way. I've done a lot of crazy things in my lifetime. I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I pretty much know whether or not I can move in a certain direction with an individual. I didn't feel that I was going in the wrong direction. I just wasn't so sure how much I could trust the individual at first. And that was probably one of my bigger concerns. But the fact that I was already becoming somewhat buzzed, you kind of throw caution to the wind.
You weren't sure you could trust the individual. What does that mean?
So he was doing a whole bunch of drugs and he got horny. I've never done that before, but I know for us men, when we do it, we can't get hard. You know, they call it C dick. You know, they call it that word for a reason, because you can't get hard. It's very hard to try to get aroused and stuff like that. So that's why I'm all like, this ain't sounding. If he over there doing crack, you doing y'all, it's a lot going on. It's a lot. All right, let's continue. And please put your kids to bed. By the way, is that a wig? Oh, you think it's a? Oh, you talking about Tucker? Yo, he do look like he got a wig. This man was on drugs, wasn't awake, went out with a black man who probably was put together, and he used drugs, and later when his eyes cleared up, he's all right. Right, that's the other thing too. Let's talk about it, Teddy. Like, I believe that he was doing lines with some black man, but wasn't Barack Obama. Like, he looked like he done did some lines, but he don't look like he did some lines with Barack Obama. I'm just saying. What's up, Nadi?
When you meet someone out of the blue and you go to a level that you're doing drugs with, or you're giving money to purchase drugs, or even for sexual activity, you have to be sure that you can trust them. And when I say trust, I mean that you're not going to end up being robbed, or that you're not going to end up having a knife stuck into you,
right.
From one direction or another, or that you're not going to pull up somewhere and all of a sudden the car door is going to open and you got 5 people pulling you out of it.
Totally.
That's what I mean when I say trust someone.
And you've been around at this point in your life, big time.
Yeah.
Right. So probably not your first time in a situation like this.
Not at all. And that's why I said I pretty much know where I can go and at what point.
So you start rubbing his leg, and he's I think, I would just be totally blunt with you, like a man who's not into gay sex would be like, whoa, settle down.
Trust me, if it was something that you were not interested in, and you're right, I've had guys that I read wrong that would literally try to break your hand.
For sure.
If you went in that route. So it's not like this was something that he wasn't into. It's not something that he was shocked by. Shocked by, you don't get excited and you don't unbutton your pants and you don't just sit there and let it happen.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't Barack's first time. That much I'm absolutely certain of. And I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't his last.
So
what he's saying is Barack Obama is an experienced down low brother. So let's continue.
Performed oral sex on Barack Obama. You did. In the driver's up front.
Yep.
And he's cool with this.
The driver has the partition up. He didn't have a problem with it. He didn't put it down for any reason.
I mean, he kind of set up the
driver roll up the partition,
exactly.
please.
And I have a funny feeling he had no bones to pick with it as far as what took place.
So what happened after?
Afterwards, I actually went back to my hotel. I had specifically asked that he drop Barack off first, but for some reason, he and Barack chose that they would drop me off at the hotel first, and then he would take Barack. So Barack actually made the drive out to Gurnee, which is a suburb outside of Chicago, to the hotel for me to be dropped off.
What hotel was it?
It was the Comfort Inn in Gurnee.
Ooh, that sounds depressing.
Well, you have to remember it was 99.
Yeah. No,
and it was close to the Great Lakes Naval Facility.
Yeah.
But I got dropped off. They left. The next day was somewhat interesting because he ends up showing up at my hotel room, which I thought was somewhat weird, but
he wanted some more.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say he showed up,
he showed up. I mean, I had no warning. I was in the room. There's a knock on the door. I open the door and he's standing there. And he's standing there with more coke, and he comes in, and it was just like a quick, rehash or rerun from the night before.
Exact same program.
Exact same program.
he smoking again?
Yo, Barack Obama loved it so much he came back for seconds. Like, came back with another bag of that white girl and was all like, "Yo, let's have at it." And Larry, like I said, he barely got any teeth. I don't see no teeth in his mouth, so he gave him some of that gum gum, allegedly. This is crazy.
So Barack Obama smokes crack, and then you perform oral sex on him.
And like I said, the only reason I had come out about it is I had reached out to the campaign even in 2007, only because I saw all these kids getting excited about it.
Okay, wait, so how did that end? Like,
same way. So you get off, you finish smoking, you leave.
Like, thanks, bye?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. What did you think of him?
I thought it was interesting. I thought he was definitely a con. But
what do you mean by that?
A con?
Well, in my life at that point, you made it clear I had already been around.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So when people are doing things because they actually really enjoy it, or they're sincere, or they're looking, for a connection, or they're doing something because they're looking for an in, or they're looking for a hook, or it's a game. So for me, I felt that it was a game for him. It was like, okay, what am I going to get out of it? Or is there something I can get out of it other than just, the sexual part?
Right.
And lucky for me, I wasn't going back to Chicago anytime soon. So it really didn't matter.
So you were left with a bad taste in your mouth.
Something. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you talk to him again?
I did not.
Wait, so he said you left with a bad taste in your mouth. And that's my thing is, where's the evidence? Like, is there any receipt showing that he was there at this time? And there's just so many questions, like, okay, how do you actually know it was him? Like, come on now. All right, let's continue.
In fact,
And did you have any idea, even though you had sex with him twice, you did cocaine with him, watched him smoke
Desperation,
crack
that's why,
twice,
Kelly.
you had no idea who he was?
Callie.
I had no idea who he was until I'm sitting in my house in Tequila, Nayarit, Mexico in 2004, and he walked on that stage
in Boston
in the DNC convention, and I literally hit the floor. I just hit the floor and was.
Wait, so you're watching the Democratic convention from Mexico?
I was
and the guy that smoked crack in your comfort inn with you.
I was laughing so hard.
And you were sure it was him?
I was absolutely positive.
How?
I don't forget.
Yo, I hate Tucker Carlson. He is loving this. He reiterating, the guy who was smoking crack in your room. He is loving every minute of this. He don't believe this guy. He knows whenever you're interviewing somebody, you can tell they're bullshitting you. You know for a fact they are bullshitting you, and he's going right along with it. Oh my God.
People I've met. I don't forget people I have spent time with. I just don't.
And just to restate, because I think you affirmed this, but he used his real name when you asked him. Did he call himself Barack or Barry?
Barack. And so did the driver. And that's why at first, when everybody was referring to him as Barry, I just didn't understand or catch on. Because
where's the driver at?
Much about him, other than the fact that, hey, you hook up. Today it's Grinder. Back then it was,
the limo driver.
Yeah. A limo driver or a bartender, You ask and somebody knows somebody or somebody doesn't.
Amazing.
Oh, he wanted them slutty gays. I think that's what it is.
That's the guy I had sex with who smoked crack it with me.
Yep.
And what do you think?
Like I said, I just started cracking up. I freaked out. I had even pointed out to some friends of mine that were at the house that night. And I told them, I said, you're not going to believe this. I said, I blew this guy twice. and they just start cracking up.
True, Roger.
But that's the thing about me. I've never been in the closet. I've never hid. I mean, I'm always very direct and blunt. And, and I'm just like, this is unreal, and I had no idea that he was going to run, in 2008, but I was back from Mexico. But it was a strange feeling sitting there watching him
Oh, I
walk
finally
across
see.
that
He got a
stage.
big ass hole in the front of his mouth, y'all. Yeah, he gave him some of that gum gum. But anyway, so okay, so you see him at the DNC or whatever, right? 2004. Oh my God, that's the guy that I gave some gum gum to, right? What what did that have to do with him, running in politics or running for office? Like that's what I don't understand.
Realizing
I didn't catch that.
who he was.
Huh. So what did you do? You said you reached out to the campaign?
Well, I didn't do anything in 2004, but when he announced his run for 2008, I did reach out to the campaign in
Right,
late
Nelly.
2007 because I had seen a lot of these college kids talking about how thrilled they were, how there was a candidate who was completely honest about his entire life, his drug use, what he did when he was in school, the constant back and forth. 1 minute is, yes, I did cocaine when I was younger, or no, I never did cocaine, but I smoked weed. So I just simply pointed out that all I was asking was, look, why don't you just simply come out and say, I did coke and I've done it as recently as 1999. Just tell the truth. Put it out there and be honest and let it stay as the truth rather than this back and forth. Never did hear anything back from them immediately.
Who did you reach out to? Do you remember?
I reached out to actually David Axelrod's office in Chicago. I'm trying to remember the letters because it was actually 3 letters.
And did you say I had sex with Barack Obama?
This is the interesting part. My first contact with the campaign never mentioned the sex whatsoever. That was actually brought to my attention by someone who eventually reached out to me in late 2007, claiming to be with the campaign, but wasn't with the campaign.
What do you mean that was pointed out to you? So you never told anyone
never,
in the Obama campaign you'd had sex with Barack
not
Obama?
in 2007, no.
Interesting. But they knew?
Yep.
How? Who?
Listen, I definitely think that he doing something currently because he's confused between coke and crack. Because coke is one thing you sniff, and then he would have said, but to me, it seemed like he's not a drug connoisseur. He seems more of a person who just try anything, and that's why his mouth has holes in it. So, it is what it is, y'all.
Well, that's weird.
I'm assuming Barack himself, because the phone calls that I got in late 2007 came from a gentleman that I have repeatedly identified as Donald Young. And it was Donald Young who had mentioned to me that the campaign was not going to acknowledge the sex and the drug interaction. And I was somewhat taken back because, like I said,
They
I had
knew it was
never
a
mentioned
lie.
sex to the campaign at all at that point. I had in 2008, but I had not in 2000.
Okay, that is amazing. And I want to get to who Donald Young was in just a minute, but I apologize for being a bad interviewer, but let me just ask the obvious question, was what was Obama like on crack?
Actually, and I hate to say this because some people are going to think I'm really crazy. I knew a lot of people that smoked it because I was in Miami in the early 80s when it became quite popular. Similar to a friend of mine that I knew in Miami, gets extremely high, calm, almost euphoric, and then as it starts to come down, the twitching and the looking, anything that looks white that's sitting on the seat or the floor, you assume is another piece that fell off that you can pick up and smoke. But while he was high, pretty much the same.
Pretty controlled.
Pretty controlled, euphoric, talkative, but not really saying anything.
So it was like his presidency.
Yeah, a lot like it.
Was it your impression, and of course you would, strictly speaking, no, but was it your impression that this was the first time he'd ever smoked crack?
No.
Oh, he was a professional crackhead. This wasn't like the first time. He was a professional at it. But again, it seems like he's mixing the two and getting confused because usually people don't do two different kind of substances at one time. You usually all stick with the same stuff. And so this dude, yeah, he's all over the place, y'all. He really is.
First of all, you don't buy crack, get in a limo, and have a pipe in your pocket if it's the first time you smoke crack.
Yeah.
You just don't.
That makes sense. So I've read about your story to the extent it's been written about, not very much. But I'd never read that Donald Young, this man Donald Young, called you and told you that he knew you'd had sex with Barack Obama.
That was the contact in late 2007 that I had that originally came under the guise that they were part of the Obama campaign.
So who was Donald Young?
Donald Young is a choir director and a school teacher. He was the choir director at Jeremiah Wright's church in Chicago, the same church that Barack Obama went to. He was also very openly gay. Black man, but very well respected.
Did you know him?
I had never met him. I had not even realized that the person who was communicating with me had been killed until a good 2 months after.
So I'm going to get to that. So Donald Young is the choir director at Jeremiah Wright's church.
Yes.
And is it publicly confirmed that he knew Barack Obama?
Oh, yes. Yes. Donald Young's own mother has repeatedly said that she feels that her son died to protect Barack Obama.
It's just interesting that Donald Young would have called you. He's not working directly for the campaign that we know of.
Exactly.
But somehow he has a copy of your letter. It sounds like maybe Donald Young was on cleanup duty.
Somehow.
The Donald Young dude, can someone look up when he passed away? Because I'm wondering if he's using the name of this Donald Young dude because he's not living anymore. So it's easy to pass it off like, oh, yeah, he was the one that called me. Weird.
He has my phone number. Exactly. And that's exactly what it was. Because like I said, the first calls I was led to believe that he was with the campaign. The last conversation that I'd had with Donald Young, he had actually come clean and said that he had been asked to call me and that his job was to get as much information from me as far as who I had spoken to, who I had given any information to, and to get that to them. He had told me to be careful, to watch myself, and to understand that the Barack Obama campaign was not in any way, shape, or form going to acknowledge anything or come out about anything. And he had made it clear that he had known Barack for quite some time and had had an intimate relationship with Barack for quite some time.
He told you that?
Yep. And that's when I knew that I could at least trust
Thank you,
what I was being
Chantel.
told. Originally, I had made it clear I didn't feel comfortable with the phone call because something just didn't seem right. But after a couple of calls, it started to all fall into place. And I had said the same thing to myself.
So you didn't know Donald Young existed?
Nope.
It sounds like you're not very political anyway. You weren't.
I wasn't at the time.
And you were just annoyed that Obama was talking about cocaine and lying about it.
I was extremely annoyed.
But the sex part had nothing to do with it.
No.
And Donald Young, who you don't know, never heard of, calls up and says, by the way, I know you had sex with Barack Obama. I did too.
Yep. Pretty much.
Show us the phone records.
I mean, this is a longer conversation which we can have in a minute, but I mean, Obama has a wife and kids, and he's telling America what a great family man he is. Is that, or maybe you've seen this a lot? What do you think of that?
Well, in 2008, I made it clear that Obama was having marital problems in '99, and everybody in the world said that I was crazy, didn't know what I was talking about. And yet, what was it, 6 months ago, Barack Obama comes out and tells the world that exactly what I said was the truth. In 1999, he and Michelle came very close to divorce. Really. 15 years later, what I say is the truth, but 15 years earlier, I'm a liar and a fraud. It's
But that don't mean
interesting
you
how
slept with
things
him.
eventually come out. But yes, believe me, I've known guys that were completely happily married that will screw around with another man on a weekly basis and think nothing of it.
Huh. Is it your sense that that's who Obama is, just transactional, or that he's bisexual, or like, what is this?
No, my feeling that Barack Obama is probably, he's definitely bi. I think there is a lot of transactional qualities to him, because I think whatever he does, it is looking for a hook or looking for a benefit.
Yeah, that's consistent with his public persona too, I would say. So Donald Young calls you
Tucker Carlson. So anyway, so he's saying that his relationships are transactional. Now, here's my thing. Yeah, usually when people are just hooking up, usually it's a transaction. You get your rocks off, and that's it. It sounds like this dude, if this is true, again, allegedly, he wanted more. And he's stating that the reason why he even came out and said anything was because Barack Obama lied and said that he didn't do cocaine. And so he felt compelled to tell the people that no, he does. This ain't making no sense, y'all. This ain't, like, he felt so compelled that he had to say something. Like, what? That is crazy. This dude off the hook. Well, he's saying that the whole limousine, when he gave him some gum in the limousine, he did say that was in 1999. He did say 1999. And so that's why he's saying, oh, see, they had marital problems. He finally admitted it, Shout out to everybody on Facebook. Thank you, Marion. Tucker should be ashamed of himself, paying this crackhead to say such lies. Here comes another lawsuit. You should think. And you know what? That's what I was kind of thinking too, because the way you know how Fox got sued from the Obsidian people for saying that the election was rigged and stuff like that, right? And so they got sued for that. And then Tucker Carlson was a big part of that. And then that's why they ended up letting him go. And they were trying to frame it like he was forced to say those things. He didn't really believe that it was a scam and all this other stuff, right? So now he moved on to this whole X platform, right? And now he's trying to make it seem that, oh, well, it's not necessarily, I'm just reporting the news, but he's still kind of like in that whole conspiracy, let's drag people and let's do the extreme, because there is no way in hell that any credible news source, hell, let me even put this out. I don't even think Tasha K would have took this story and took it seriously, like, oh my God, this is real. Come on now. And thank you, Sensible Sydney. I appreciate that. Hey, too long time. Are his words the only reliable source? Someone should come for him. Right now it's the only reliable source. Like I said, we should talk to the limo driver. We need to talk to the limo driver before anything. All right, let's continue.
Sounds like you kind of like and trust Donald Young.
I did.
Did he say how long he'd had a relationship with?
He had just said that they had been intimate for years.
Intimate for years. And what happened to Donald Young?
Donald Young was shot dead in his apartment, second floor in Chicago, Illinois. I think it was December 23rd of
2007.
2007. According to the police report and the death certificate, multiple gunshot wounds, close range, no forced entry, second floor apartment, yet not a single resident in the building heard a single shot, but yet they can hear every shot that's fired in the street outside. Jeremiah Wright announces that Donald Young's dead earlier that morning, even before it was announced, even before he was declared dead. I mean, a lot of it just didn't make sense.
This is all public, and you can
Yep.
look this up, and it's still on the internet. Tell us about Donald Young's mother.
Norma Jean Young actually is a former Chicago Police Department employee.
Really?
Really. She has worked for the Chicago PD. I had spoken with his sister Lorraine shortly after I realized that he was the gentleman that I had been speaking with. There were people at the time that were attempting to have Lorraine and other members of Donald's family file criminal complaints against me with Chicago because they wanted me arrested. They were trying to get the family to say that I was trying to con them or something. To my knowledge, they never did any such thing. But at the same time, I continue to respect Lorraine and the rest of the family. But Mrs. Young had finally come out and told David Nelson, reporter that I knew out of Minnesota, that she was convinced that Donald had been killed, that his death was to protect his friend Obama. And she confirmed that they were extremely close for years.
I mean, did she confirm that they'd had sex, Obama and?
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify something because there was a story in the Daily Mail UK, and it was a story about Barack Obama's high school dealer was beaten with the hammer, and that was his gay lover or whatever, right? So the guy name was actually Raymond Boyer, 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 and he was Barack Obama's reefer dealer or whatever, right? The marijuana. And he was beaten to death by a hammer. And so they're claiming that this guy held all the secrets about Obama and his gay relationships and stuff like that. And so there has been this conspiracy theory. This was back in 2014. There has been this conspiracy theory like, oh, that guy knew Barack Obama was gay, and so he had to be deleted in order for Barack Obama to become president. So this is one of those conspiracy theories things. And so he's mixing those two stories with the Donald Young guy. And shoot, what happened? With the Donald Young guy. And so he's conflating the two. Raymond Boyer and then Donald Young, two different people, but he's conflating the stories, basically hoodwinking the people.
Donald Young?
Her confirmation wasn't referencing, or she did not specifically say that they were had been intimate for years.
But she believed the Obama campaign was responsible.
She believed that his death was due to protecting Barack Obama. And I made the same argument that people said, well, how are you accusing Barack? I said, I'm not accusing Barack of anything. But I said, I'm willing to bet my life that Barack Obama and Jeremiah Wright both know or have knowledge of who killed Donald Young. There is no doubt in my mind about that.
Well, this was a guy who was clearly going to be the next.
But here's my thing. Why would Donald have reached out to you to try to get ahead? Oh, hold on. Let me turn on my camera. I'm sorry. why would Donald have reached out to you to try to get ahead of the story and try to smooth things over and stuff like that? But they wanted to off him. Wouldn't that make it look worse? See, the story's not making sense, y'all. Hoodwinked and bamboozled. You're right.
Next leader of the world. You know, people kill each other over insurance claims, over bar fights. There's a lot at stake here. I have no knowledge of this. I'm not alleging a murder at the Obama campaign or its allies, but it's not a crazy thing to wonder, obviously.
No, and the only thing after I realized what had happened with Donald Young, the only thing I'd ever asked was the same thing that I had done. And I said, you know, if you want to accuse me of being crazy, you know, release your phone records. You know, turn over your phone records from your phone in '99. Turn over your phone records for the last year. I mean, it's that easy. If you've got nothing to hide, investigate, let them look. But no.
So now seems like a fair time to.
But how come he can't produce any records or anything like that? He wants Barack Obama to turn in his phone records and all that stuff, right? But how come he can't produce any hotel receipts or anything like that? That's the crazy part.
About your motive. So your initial motive was you were annoyed because you believed or you knew that Obama was lying about his drug use.
Right.
But then after the Donald Young exchange, where he brings up the sex that you had with Obama, what was the point at which you decided, I'm just going to bring this to the country, I'm going to go public?
Well, in January of 2008, after having contacted the campaign yet again, I had decided, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to make a YouTube video and put it up, which I did. It wasn't because I was looking for anything out of it. In fact, if I had even stopped long enough to anticipate the blowback and the consequences of speaking out, me being me, it probably would not have stopped me. It might have slowed me a little bit, but it would not have stopped me. But I figured if you're going to call him out, you can't call him out on part of it. And people have said, well, why didn't you just talk about the drug use and leave the sex out? And I said, because if I said he just used drugs and then you found out later it was drugs and sex, you would accuse me of lying because I didn't mention the sex. So my opinion was, if you're going to tell the story, then you tell the whole story and let the chips fall where they may. So that's exactly what I did.
And so you made a YouTube video. By the way, I looked for it last night. I couldn't find it.
That's because YouTube gave access to my account to someone shortly after the polygraph test. And I was never given access back to it before the video was actually deleted.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah, YouTube.
Oh, that's some Jaguar shit right there. He said it like that. So basically, YouTube gave access to somebody, and then they deleted it. Shout out to Jag, but you know, Jag will say they deleted the evidence in a minute. But that's what he's telling you. But it's not even that YouTube deleted it. He said YouTube gave someone access and then they deleted it. Oh my God.
YouTube gave access to the account and the video was deleted. Microsoft gave access to my Hotmail account and all of my emails were circulating the internet, and vacation replies were set up on my email telling people that I was busy giving blowjobs and would get back with them when I was done. And oh yeah.
Man, they wanted Obama to be president.
Yep, and they wanted me to be the biggest fraud and nutcase that ever existed.
So I got to ask you, I mean, you know, I wasn't there. I can only assess what you're saying. I don't see any obvious motive for you for gain, financial gain. You're not going to get rich doing this. And in fact, you haven't. You've gotten impoverished as a result of it. But like, if I'm a reporter, well, I was a reporter at the time. I remember thinking, well, that's an interesting story. but it seemed like nobody in the media wanted to follow up with you. And some people, like Ben Smith at Politico, who's a liar and a shill posing as a journalist, I reread the piece last night that he wrote saying, oh, it's ridiculous. Right off the first graph, it's ridiculous, these claims.
Well, I think I have an answer for why a lot of reporters did not want to follow up. And
Okay, well, if Tucker Carlson had seen it at that time, why didn't he go ahead and take the leap and report on it and be like, hey, we're going to take this story on? Probably because he knew, like, it didn't make any sense. Literally, we're just going by what someone says. We're not seeing any proof, you guys. We're literally just going by what someone says, and then we're supposed to believe it. Like, he does not have any actual proof of anything. Granted, yeah, did they have camera phones back then? No, but his stories aren't making sense.
I think it would have something to do with what David Axelrod told a old Chicago Sun-Times reporter, or no, a Chicago Tribune reporter, John Crutzen.
Axelrod had been a reporter in Chicago before he went into politics.
Well, John Crutzen worked for the Chicago Tribune, and John Crutzen actually came to Duluth, Minnesota, and sat down with me and talked with me. And John Crutzen had told me point blank that before he had flown out, that he had spoken to Axelrod, and that Axelrod had told him that they were aware of who I was, and that it was their intentions to destroy me, and that if any reporter had mentioned me to them, they would be completely cut off, and that outlet would be completely cut off from access to the Obama campaign for the duration of the year. So I think that had a lot to do with why reporters didn't bring things up to the campaign, because everybody wanted access to, the new savior. Nobody wanted to be blackballed and denied access to a historic campaign.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's the guy's running for president and credible information comes out that he's smoking crack and having sex with dudes, I mean, that seems like a story.
Well, it would be a story if the media really cared about telling people the truth about anything.
Yeah, they're liars. And that Ben Smith is a liar.
Oh, Ben Smith's more than a liar, but you're right.
What do you mean more than a liar?
He's a complete fraud. Ben Smith, I hear people talking about grifters. Ben Smith to me is a grifter. Ben Smith wrote an article saying that I had a 27-year.
This is the same guy who went to jail for fraud, by the way.
Career criminal. And the funny thing is if you look my criminal history up, which I've published myself and provided from day one, my criminal history goes from 1980 to 1986. And everything I've ever done, I've owned it. I've never wasted taxpayer money. And any sentence I've ever been given, I've served.
Ooh, he got sassy with that.
But he also said that I was a fugitive, that I was avoiding prosecution. I was trying to prevent from going to jail. None of that was true. But the media ran with it. Even Greta linked to it and said that people asked me why I would not interview Larry Sinclair. This is why. And she linked to Ben Smith's article. And notice his article was published right when I was preparing to do the press conference at the National Press Club. But hey, the National Press Club, so-called beacon for freedom of the press, they were just as involved in trying to keep the story from ever being.
It's interesting. I watched the other night, I watched your entire National Press Club appearance, and in it, you detail your intersections with law enforcement exhaustively.
Yep.
Every time you've been arrested, you explain it. Every time you've done time, you explain it. So you didn't, from what I could tell, hide your past.
No, why? You can't. I mean, I've never hidden my past in regular everyday life. Why would I hide it in something like this?
So, I mean, you're the only person on this set who's had sex with Barack Obama. So I think you're.
Tucker, shut the hell up. Stop saying he had sex with
more than most people. What's your assessment of him now?
I think he's the same grifter that he's always been. I think he's still very power hungry. I think Obama is calling the shots in the current Biden administration more than people are willing to admit. I think Obama is hell-bent. I had made a statement during that press conference that I felt that Barack Obama being elected was going to push race relations in this country backwards 50 years.
Oh, there we go.
I'm absolutely positive I was.
Yes, I think
There we go. There we motherfucking go. We knew it was gonna be some shit. Again, that conspiracy theory that Barack Obama made race relations worse when he became president. So we blame the black man for making race relations horrible. I knew it was gonna get political at one point. I knew it was. I knew it was. But here's the thing. I knew if he got elected, he'd make race relations worse, but you didn't mind sucking his dick twice. What? Get the fuck out of here.
you've been vindicated on that.
Because race relations in this country has not only gotten pushed back, but everything's about race now. Everything is about victimization now.
It's interesting though. Yeah, he's obviously a race hater, very anti-white, but he had sex with a white man. So you have to ask, like, is that real?
Oh, for him, of course. I would
Let's
be
not
willing to
forget
bet
Barack
that I'm not
Obama is half white. He's a white hater. Like what? Huh? What the hell is going on? What's up, Stephanie? Thank you for coming. Wow.
the only white person he's ever had sex with, or male anyway.
Yeah.
But hey, he's got what he wanted. You know, he is in DC. He's living the life. He's still looked upon as being the savior of the country, you know, and sadly people are still giving him that power. And I think it's going eventually to be to the detriment of.
Can I just ask you one last question? How did you? I'm just thinking about it. It's very insightful because I knew a lot of people who weren't voted for Obama purely on the race question. And they weren't all self-hating, guilty whites. They were like nice, normal people who wanted to see race relations improve. And that really was the core promise of his campaign. And a lot of people bought it. A lot of smart people bought it. And I saw why they bought it. But you didn't buy it. How did you know that?
I grew up in South Carolina in the 1960s and 70s. Okay. I've been gay and knew I was gay since 6 years old. Never hid it. Okay.
Yeah.
I grew up in rural South Carolina. And my first job as a kid was cropping tobacco for a family by the name of Rose that were a black family living across the road from my grandparents. So I grew up as a kid, a gay kid, in an era and an area that would get you killed being gay just as quick as you could be hanging being black. So I actually knew the other side of the track before I knew that I was supposed to act like I was above this or above that. I've watched it my whole life. I know when someone plays, when it comes to acting like they're one way and then in reality, they're the biggest racists or bigots alive on both sides.
I think I got them, Stephanie, if you didn't already.
I knew because he was saying one thing in the campaign. And then if people started to actually listen to what he was saying, remember there was a time when he actually told supporters to show up to fight with a knife, get in people's face, argue with them if they didn't agree to support him, if they didn't agree to vote for him, argue with them, convince them. Come on.
Right, Gail.
You don't make statements like that and tell me that you're not going to make things about race. He did.
Man, that is the one part of your story that we can say unequivocally you're telling the truth about. You saw that and most people didn't. Larry Sinclair, I'm really grateful that you came. I wish I had interviewed you in 2008. I don't think anyone would have run the interview. But anyway, thank you.
All right, we can stop listening to this trash. But right, Tucker Carlson, why didn't you run the interview? You was working for Fox at the time. No, actually, I think he was with CNN. He was because he was with CNN originally. So here's the thing: a few different things, right? And I knew it was going to come to, oh, he made race relations. Where I was waiting for the political talk to kind of slip in there and say why he's really talking and shit like that. And, you know, he's claiming to be a white man from South Carolina. You should know now. Shout out to all the people in the South, but I gotta call y'all out. I gotta call y'all out in the South because y'all be motherfucking lying. Everybody in the South, like you be like, oh, you probably dealt with some racism. You know, is it like really racist? They be like, no, we just let everybody down in the country and down in the South. We don't consider racism. We don't even see color. We don't see no racism down here. All of y'all, this is black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. They will pretend like there's no racism. In California, where I live, where it's supposed to be so liberal, there is racism here. I would never tell you, oh, there's no racism here. Like I would say, oh, well, you know the areas that you can go to. But a lot of people in the South, they do this like, oh, there's no racism. We just love everybody. We got that Southern pride. We just Southern hospitality. They'll try to do that little Southern talk, that little fried okra talk to you. They'll try to hoodwink you and trick you and make you and convince you that there is no. I know I'll get canceled in the morning. I know y'all gonna cancel me, but I gotta say it. Well, yeah, they will pretend like there is no racism at all in this. Like I promise you, if you talk to somebody in the South, they will pretend. Stephanie, you know what I'm talking about. You probably started talking that shit too. They will pretend like, oh, there ain't no race. We love everybody. I'm just kidding. Stephanie doesn't talk like that. But yeah, you ever talk to somebody in the South, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we don't see nothing. You know, it don't really happen or nothing. You like, really? And then you see about 4,500 Confederate flags flying down the street, but they don't see no. Yo, in Louisiana, they have plantations. Why is the word plantation still being used? It should be called like something else. You can't tell me that if you're using the word plantation, it don't have a history. The reason why it's called plantation is because it was plantations where they whipped people and had them pick stuff and work around that. Like, come on now. And I'm not saying like you should burn down your house because it's a no, I'm not saying that. But obviously there is some kind of history there. But so you know, some of them Southerners that act like, oh, it ain't nothing going on. We just he ain't happy nothing. Come on now. And so that's what I'm getting back to the point. But that's what I'm getting from this guy though. He all like, oh, I knew because I was in tobacco fields and I was gay and this and that. Being gay and versus being black is two totally different things. Like, let's put that on the table. However, you know, I just feel like Tucker Carlson was trying to leech onto something and really try to grasp at like, yo, I know this shit is going to go viral. I know people are going to talk about it. Let me make this a bigger deal than what it actually is. Mind you, Tucker Carlson, did you ask this guy for any kind of proof? We just believe everything that he says. Like, he didn't bring no receipts. Excuse me, like at least like a credit card statement. They had credit cards back then, a credit card statement or a bank statement saying he was at this hotel and all this other stuff. He said initially he went to Chicago because I think like his nephew or something, like I have to go back and watch, but his nephew or something, like that's how he ended up in Chicago, but he was from Colorado. Mind you, I didn't drop this bomb, but whitehouse.com, they actually did a polygraph with him back in February and they detected lies. And so, you know, the polygraph was actually done. Now he's claiming that he did his own years ago and he passed, right? But the whitehouse.com actually did their own and he failed. The lies were detected. Again, polygraphs and lie detectors aren't 100%. However, this guy produced no receipts at all. And here's my thing too. Even if you have a hookup, right? Because I kind of talked about this a while ago. Even if you have a hookup, for you to try to like out somebody or try to do that, like it's just wrong in so many ways. Because again, he talked about how the Donald Young guy was off and he believes Barack Obama had something to do with it. Well, you talking, aren't you worried about you being off, deleted, somebody coming to do something so make it make sense, SF said the ninja lied, yeah. Yet he has no proof. Oh, right. And I know his brother had said something recent. Barack Obama's brother in Kenya had said something recently about him, but that guy's all over the place. And that's why Barack Obama don't pay attention to him. Hey, sometimes it's okay not to pay attention to certain people in your family. I'm just saying, y'all. I will say I was in Upper New York State 10 years ago, and I saw a handful of stars and bar flags on houses. I was confused and pissed. Not surprised. Upper state New York is just like the Valley, Central Valley where I came from is very, upper state New York. I don't know why the lower state of New York doesn't translate to upper state New York, but it's like something, whoa, it is crazy. Mind you, I've never been to New York, but I know people from there and they're like, yo, it's hella racist here, Yeah, his brother is obviously jealous. Like when you're the nobody of the family, of course you're going to try to get clout off your brother. The first black president, that's what he's doing, y'all. Can he tell black men apart? Exactly. We talked about that, Stephanie. This was some other black man, and who said he had Coke goggles on, and so once he woke up, he thought it was Barack Obama. Yeah, very skid row, especially with that big ass hole in the middle of his mouth. Them teeth was missing. Now, do I believe that he probably gives great gum? Yeah, he probably gives great gum because he doesn't have any teeth barely. But I don't believe he gave Barack Obama that gum. Right, no proof. But the fact that like Tucker Carlson and don't forget Elon No Good Musk was promoting this. They were promoting this like, oh, we love this and like tweeting about it. And so like, yo, I wouldn't put my name on this. Like, say for example, Stephanie came to me and was like, AT2, I have this great interview. You're going to do numbers. You're going to break the internet. You're going to do a story on Barack Obama's gay escapades. And, there's this guy. I'll be like, okay, well, is there any proof of it? Like, how we know this is legit? And as soon as there was no proof and we're just going to go by the story that he's telling us, I would have been like, nah, I'm cool. Nah. And, like I said, it was a perfect time to capitalize off of it because of that letter he wrote to his ex-girlfriend in the 80s that said he imagined, being with men and stuff like that. Again, sometimes when we go to sleep, we have some freaky dreams and we probably don't know why we're having those dreams. A dream is a dream, but I wouldn't say, oh, yeah, that's definitely how. I don't like that, y'all. I don't like that. I think them bringing up that whole letter thing. And here's the thing. If Barack Obama experimented, that's his business. Do I think he's doing it currently? No. But if he had an experience, that's his business. But, I don't know how. If you want to talk about Barack Obama's policies and his presidency, that's one thing. But this whole slanderous thing, like, oh, we need to bring up this whole fake ass story to try to make it look like something. It had nothing to do with his presidency at all. Him doing a little coke and then or doing a little crack because Larry's confused between crack and coke. So yeah, him doing a little cocaine and or a little crack or whatever, that has nothing to do with his presidency. Unless he was doing it on the table, cutting it up with Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, I should say, and sniffing it. It has nothing to do with anything that was going on today. We've had two presidents since Barack Obama. Like, come on now. He is pulling string. Like, he is all like, damn, I'm so desperate to talk to anybody. Like, I thought he was supposed to be doing an interview with Donald Trump or something like that. I'm pretty sure he should just do a whole bunch of interviews with Donald Trump. Just do a whole bunch of interviews with him, and I'm pretty sure he can help grow the platform and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah. I dreamt I was a Jehovah's Witness. Okay, Sexy, he already did. Okay, then he trying to steal. Yeah. Was Larry paid for the interview? Sydney, would they ever admit that he was paid for the interview? That's the question. Would they admit it? Oh, Denitra, you missed a lot. Don't worry. I'm going to get ready to end it in a couple of minutes. Don't worry. So let me ask you guys, do you guys believe that Larry was paid for this interview? Was Larry paid for this interview? Let's go. Okay, I believe he got paid. Yeah, he probably he either got some crack rock, fentanyl, weed. He got all the drugs for doing this interview. He either got drugs for doing this interview or because them teeth was missing, y'all. Them teethuses, they was missing. So he definitely he got some form of compensation. I'll agree with that. He got some form of compensation. Especially he was coming. Oh, hold on. Get them likes up, you guys. But especially after finding out he lives in Mexico now. Oh yeah, he got a first class flight. He got all that, y'all. He got all that. Yes, Sexy 60, that's what they were saying. His viewership is down. So this was supposed to be like the smoking gun to get his viewership up. Okay, so I asked y'all, do you believe the allegations made against Obama having relations with Larry Sinclair? 70% of you guys said no, and 30% said yeah. Oh, yeah, this has been a good one, y'all. Yeah, Denitra, this has been good. I promise you. Yeah, something ain't clean in the water. Right, he went to Bobby's so yeah, greater South Dallas County area since 1984. Yeah. His story was full of shit, didn't make any sense at all, no proof. And Tucker Carlson, and like y'all said, he kept on saying crackhead, crackhead, crack, 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 crack. Tucker knew what he was doing. Let me repeat these buzzwords and make y'all react to it. We understood. We should have did a shot every time he said crack. That's what we should have did. We'll do that next time, y'all. But anyway, let me go ahead and end the show right here. I didn't get any Cash App, PayPal, Venmos, but if I did, I'll definitely thank you later. Shout out to Sydney for the super chat. We appreciate that. And thank you guys for watching the show. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Let me know what you guys think about the interview in the comment section. But other than that, y'all, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to go rub myself down with some body oil.